3, 2. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another beautiful episode of the Sideline Podcast, episode 13. It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I'm once again here joined by Christopher.
What's good, everybody? Coming live from Blitzkrieg Studios.
Is that what we're officially calling it?
Yeah, dude. I think that's...
I mean, it's stuck. Well, for us, at least. They don't know about it yet.
I think it's good. I think it's a good name. Blitzkrieg Studios, Lightning War Studios. That sounds fucking legit, dude.
Dude, we're going to get like a lightning bolt and put it right here.
Yeah.
Dude, that would actually be kind of cool.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's a good name for a studio, Blitzkrieg. Like, you know what I mean? And like some people will know what it is, and other people will be like, they'll just go over their head.
You just have to know.
Yeah, you have to know.
That's fair.
And we're not going to explain it to you. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Do some research, kids.
Look up Blitzkrieg.
ChatGPT. ChatGPT Blitzkrieg would be crazy, actually.
Mr. ChatGPT, what is Blitzkrieg?
Anyways, guys, Sideline Podcast. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. We're back with another episode for you guys today, and this coming live from the city of El Paso, Texas, on a beautiful Saturday, like Adam said. Adam, thanks for having me on again. I'm ready to get into this whenever you are, man.
Yeah, let's kick it off with round 2 of the NBA playoffs.
But before that...
You can kick it off whenever you're ready. Actually, hold
on. We got a tradition here, folks. It's called the cracking of the celebratory beer, and it sounds like...
Ready? Hold on.
This. Oh, that was pretty good. That was a great value water bottle right there, guys.
Cool, yeah.
Great sound effects. Beautiful. Cheers, Adam. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, everyone that's joining us. Thank you all for supporting the pod. Okay, now let's officially get into it.
Jesus Christ.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about the NFC Shakeup. So last week's episode was the AFC post-draft, and now we're going to be talking about the NFC. But now... let's get into some NBA first to kick it off. Round 2 of the NBA playoffs are live, and we actually have the Knicks, who are surprisingly up 2-0 against the Celtics. And I don't know if a lot of people would consider that surprising.
No. Right now they're up 2-1.
No, they're up 2-0.
What do you mean?
They're up 2-0. Yeah, they're up 2-0. So considering the fact that they were in Boston to begin the first 2 games, I think that's the most surprising to people, because if they started off in New York, then maybe it wouldn't be so surprising them taking a 2-0 lead. But they started off in Boston, and now they're going to be in New York starting game 3. So the Knicks have the potential to go up 3 games on the reigning champions. Then we have the Pacers, who are actually surprising the Cavs as well, up 2-1, and they're in Cleveland for game 4. We got the Wolves and the Warriors, who are tied at 1 apiece.
They're playing later today.
Yeah, they are playing later today. And the big news out of Golden State is that Curry is expected to miss multiple games with a hamstring injury. I believe it said game 6 was going to be the earliest he'd come back, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, it's still going to be like a debilitating injury. I mean, the way the guy moves, it's going to be hard to replicate that, especially if you're playing at 60, 65, 70%. But even him at 60, 65, 70% is still enough to help the Warriors, because the defense is going to have to still respect the shot, respect his ability to score. You saw in game 2 when he went out, or for game 2 without Curry at all in the lineup, they really were able to shut everyone else down, and Golden State really struggled to find any sort of offense outside of Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green, actually, and then he gets ejected, so there was that. But it's interesting to see that how much Steph really impacts the team. And you could literally make a case for him to be MVP every single year, because look at this team without him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this team even makes the playoffs without him. That's how important he is to this roster. He, at this point in the Warriors, I guess, dynasty or end of the dynasty, he is the Warriors.
Yeah,
like, no one else is the Warriors.
He's still the main focal point of that team. And like, it's crazy because you really get a feel for how the team appreciates playing with him, because he makes the game so much easier when he's out there. And the defense now, with him not being there, the defense can almost relax in a way, because nobody moves like him. So you don't have one guy that's just constantly running and turning and turning the defense.
Right.
And so as a defensive player, you're like, oh, dude, I don't have to fucking chase Curry tonight. Like, dude, that makes my life 10 times easier. But yeah, we'll see how that game goes today. Game 3 kicks out at 6:30 our time. So that would be cool. I mean, that's going to be a pivotal game, because it's the first one back in Golden State too. The Warriors stole one on the road in game 1. So yeah, like flipping the home court advantage is very important in the NBA. And like New York was able to do that, going still 2 on the road. So that's good. I mean, I've really been also impressed with Tyrese Halliburton. Him and the Pacers have like really, really surprised me. They're playing the number 1 overall seed in the East in the Cavs. And yesterday they lost, but they're still very, very competitive. And they were up in that series 2-0. And the Cavs came back and got one yesterday. So we'll see how that goes. Any thoughts on those series right now?
I mean, everybody was calling Tyrese Halliburton the most overrated player. He was rated the most overrated player in the NBA this season.
That's wild.
And I wouldn't say he was like the most overrated, but personally, I'm just not like, I've never been a fan of Halliburton. So I could see how people are like that, but I also wouldn't make the case for him to be the most overrated player in the league. The other series we actually got in the West is the Nuggets took a 2-1 lead on the Thunder last night, which is also the shock coming out of the West, where the Nuggets were expected to probably be not swept, but probably be taken out in 5 or 6 games. And right now it looks like if the Thunder win it, it's a minimum of 6 games. If the Nuggets win it, it's 5. So for the Nuggets to go into Oklahoma and take a game, I think that was very crucial. And now that they're going to be back in Denver for Game 4, for the Nuggets to potentially take a 3-1 lead is going to be extremely crucial. We saw last year where the Thunder I don't know if they got swept, but I know they got eliminated by the Mavericks at home when they were the number 1 seed. So for them to be the number 1 seed again this year and potentially be taken out by the Nuggets, who are, I believe, the 5 seed this year, I mean, it's like deja vu for the Thunder all over again, back-to-back years. So that's pretty rough to have finals, dreams, and now you're going to be taken out in the first round last year and now the second round this year, potentially.
Well, it's not over yet. Yesterday's game was very competitive. They went to OT, and then it simply came down to the Nuggets were hitting their shots.
Did
Jamal
they go
Murray,
to overtime?
Yeah, they went to OT yesterday.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Shea was doing all he could out there by himself, but I mean, he was dropping dimes, and these guys were just missing the fucking shots. So you can see where playoff experience is actually favoring Denver in this one, because the Thunder are a young team, and a lot of these guys haven't been there before, and you're going up against Jamal Murray and Jokic that are the defending champs. So it really it shows you the value of experience when it comes to the playoffs. That's a good series too, but Denver, I think people were doubting them because they had played the Clippers 7 games, so they were like tired and shit. And then you had a well-rested Thunder team, and it's actually been the opposite. Denver's been handling them, and we'll see what happens in that series going forward. But I think the seeding in the West is misleading because the Wolves are a 6 seed.
Yeah, and they have just as good of a record as the number 3 seed, which was the Lakers.
And so I think this year you really got, in the final 8 of the NBA playoffs, you have the 8 best teams, in my opinion. You could say the Lakers should be there, but I don't think so. I mean, they didn't prove it, and you really have, maybe the Clippers could make an argument too, but you really have the best 8 teams in the league left right now, and all the series are competitive right now. That's the good thing.
Absolutely. The semi least competitive one has been the Knicks in terms of taking games, but even that series has been extremely competitive. Both of the first 2 games, the Knicks were down 20 points in both games, and they're up 2-0. So there is some competition going on in the East, and they're handling the Celtics like no one expected.
Yeah, but Boston will win one. They're not going to go down.
No, yeah, I don't think they'll get swept.
They're too talented of a team. They got Jaylen Brown.
If they don't win this 3rd game that's actually about to start right now, it's not going to look good for them to take the series.
But they're too talented, man. They got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Al Horford. They got a very, very, very...
Well, the Knicks are talented, too. They got Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby.
Yeah, but Tatum and Brown have been there before. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
The Knicks, maybe not so much. I mean, they've been to the playoffs, but they've never made it to the finals in the recent years. But interesting basketball all around. I really, really am enjoying the NBA playoffs. Like I said before, it's my favorite fucking time of the year. And it makes for exciting basketball out there.
So who you got winning each series?
We'll go.
Okay, Knicks or Boston?
Fucking Knicks. Just because I'm tired of Boston.
All right, Pacers, Cavs?
I want to see the Pacers do it because I remember back in the day when Reggie Miller was on the Pacers and they were like handling teams in the playoffs. I remember I was a big fan of his, so I'm going Pacers.
Wolves, Warriors?
Got to go with the Warriors. Dub Nation, stand up!
Do you believe the win though? Is the question? I know you're rooting for them. But
today's going to be the okay. So whatever adjustments Kerr makes for this next game, which he said you're going to see more Kuminga and more Kevon Looney. that could potentially help Jimmy Butler, but it really comes down to the role players stepping up. I mean, Podziemski's been a shell of himself, and in order for them to replace Steph's minutes and his productivity, he has to be better. And Buddy Hield cannot be this inconsistent because he pretty much won them Game 7, and then he's been non-existent the last 2 games. Actually, a defensive liability out there. But I mean, I'm going to say that I believe the Warriors win, but like if tonight they come out and they look like they did in Game 2, then they have no shot.
Nuggets Thunder?
Nuggets.
That's fair.
I'm not a fan of the Thunder's youth.
See, I actually disagree with you on basically everyone except the Knicks. I got the Knicks taking care of Boston in 6. I'm gonna say 6. I said
Knicks too.
I said no, I know, but I said everyone except that one.
Oh, okay.
And then I got the Cavs. I want the Cavs winning. I say they come back, take it. I see the Wolves taking it. I don't necessarily want them, but I can absolutely see the Wolves taking it, especially with Steph being out at least another 4 games or 3 games. And then the Thunder, I would love to see be triumphant. I don't know. I think that one can go to 7 too. I think that one's the one out of these 4 series that can go to 7 games. But I think the Pacers and the Cavs end in 6, no matter who wins. I think it's in 5 or 6. So if the Pacers win, it goes to 5. And then if the Cavs win, it goes to 6. I think that's about it for NBA. If you want to brush up on anything else.
No, I think that's it. I mean, it would really be. Curry's not going to retire, but I mean, him going out like this is going to probably add fuel to the fire for next year, if anything.
Yeah.
If he does not come back, but like I said, even if he comes back, dude, he's not going to be nearly the same. And it's a hamstring injury, so that shit is, like I said, is huge.
Yeah, hamstrings are finicky,
especially for a guy like him, the way he plays.
That's fair. All right. Well, let's jump into some NFL finally. We got the NFC Shakeup Post Draft 2025. We're going to be talking about all of the draft picks per team, specifically skill positions, some offensive guards and tackles thrown in here and there just because that they were first rounders or second rounders and they're important to the team. And then we're going to be talking about which teams really won the draft and which teams really lost the draft. And then we're also going to be talking about players that won or lost the draft. So let's kick it off with the Cardinals. How
does a player win the draft?
Well, okay, so let me put this into a perspective for you. The Bills. All right, take the Bills team for example.
Okay,
they have James Cook as their running back, right?
Right.
Did they take a running back in the draft?
No, but he didn't win the draft.
But he won the draft because there's no one else to steal his spot, right?
I guess.
So he's still going to be the main guy in Buffalo.
It just sounds funny.
I think that's
he
fair.
won the draft.
Well, it's like I don't know. It makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are wrong.
I'm in the wrong.
All right, so we got the NFC West. Let's kick it off with the Cardinals. The Cardinals actually had 0 skill positions taken in the draft. The entirety of the draft, they took 0 skill positions on offense. And I don't know if you see this as a red flag or not because Kyler Murray's still their quarterback. They got James Conner at running back. They got Marv at wide receiver, and they got Trey McBride at tight end. So they have talent on that team, but should they have added someone else to potentially take them over the top and even make the playoffs? Because they didn't even make the playoffs, and they got the exact same squad from last year on offense.
Don't forget Greg Dortch.
Greg Dortch is actually a pretty solid wide receiver too.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all based on need, right? I mean,
right.
They must have said we need help everywhere else. We're good at quarterback. We're good at running back. We're good at tight end. We're okay at fucking wide receivers. Zay Jones is actually on this team now. So I mean. Yeah, I guess I guess they're rebuilding, right? They have to be rebuilding. They have to be rebuilding. Well, maybe not because they still have Kyler, but they're not in win now mode, I would say.
No, absolutely not.
Building for the future.
I had speculation myself. It's not like rumors from anyone big or anything. It was just me in the beginning of the offseason that Kyler Murray could potentially be moved in the offseason, but after the draft, it doesn't look like that'll happen, obviously. Maybe next year, depending on how things shake up at the end of this season. If they miss the playoffs, it could be a potential release of Kyler Murray or an exit of Kyler Murray if they trade him for draft value. Maybe a team needs him next year, like the Saints. We'll get into the Saints later. There's a lot of drama coming out of there. The Cardinals only took one offensive player in the entire draft, and that was Hayden Conner, which was a guard out of Texas. So they're just giving Kyler Murray a little bit more protection, even though he runs 300 times a game.
Light work.
Yeah, something light. But that's it. That's
they
it for
actually
the
have
Cardinals,
DJ
really.
Dallas on the roster.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought he retired.
DJ Dallas, Trey Benson.
Yeah, is their
Amari
RB2.
DeMercado?
Oh, Amari DeMercado?
Yeah, he's their third running back.
I actually picked him up in fantasy last year for like 1 week.
I'm trying to see what else they got here.
Well,
not a lot to write home about.
I think everybody on the Cardinals won the draft on offense, like we were talking about right now. Kyler Murray, he's still going to be a potential high-end QB1 in fantasy this year. Just because of his rushing upside, he's not going to be the guy to throw 40 touchdowns a year. But if you have a quarterback that obviously throws and then he's going to run for a minimum of 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards a game, that's an easy QB1 value. It just depends on if he can stay healthy, if he can stay consistent. It depends on matchups, stuff like that. Trey McBride is still going to be your tight end 1. He's going to be looked at as the tight end probably 1, 2, or 3 this draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. actually had a pretty solid season last year. He had, I want to say it was under 100 receptions, but it was around 800 receiving yards, and he had, I want to say 8 touchdowns. I think he was 88-8 is what his line was, which is actually pretty cool. He had like 80 some receptions, 800 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Am I wrong on that?
I was looking for that, but this didn't give me stats.
Okay.
What I was going to say is really fast, Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, they actually signed him from the Patriots.
He's in the cut, folks. Jacoby Brissett is in the cut. So if Kyler Murray was to go down, he would be, or not down, or maybe he just plays really bad, then he would be next in line. So
yeah, I mean, a Kyler Murray injury could be imminent in any season just because of his rushing upside. It's a risk whenever you take a quarterback like that, where you know that he's going to be a dual threat like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Any one of those dual threat quarterbacks, it's a blessing to have that upside in rushing, but it's also a curse because they have that much more of an injury risk than a pocket passer.
62 receptions, 885 yards for 8 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr. last year.
Okay, so it was 6, 8, and 8.
That was close.
Yeah, I mean, it was close enough. I was
116 targets.
So, I mean, when you're getting 116 targets a season, and as a rookie, you're only going to go up from there, I believe, especially when you got a big name like Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he was a high-end first-rounder last year. So I think he has the potential to, I wouldn't say boom, but he has the potential to exceed what he did last year. And if Kyler Murray can build a connection with Marvin Harrison Jr. this year, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has the potential to be a high-end QB2. I'm sorry.
He's probably
wide receiver 2.
He's probably wide receiver number 1 in Arizona, but they have him listed as the second on the depth chart.
Really?
Yeah, behind Zay Jones from Jacksonville.
Oh, I mean, Zay Jones is not going to be a threat this year. I don't know.
So. He's showed flashes, but I don't know.
I mean, Zay Jones
was always hurt too.
Yeah, he hasn't been good since Jacksonville. So, I mean, I think he was hurt most of the year last year. I think he had a collarbone injury.
He was hurt a lot last year because I had him on one of my squads, but anyways, that's the Cardinals for you guys, Arizona.
Let's move on to the 49ers, who actually took 5 offensive players, but did not take a single offensive player until the 4th round. So all of their offensive players came on day 3. They got Jordan Watkins, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, Jordan James, running back out of Oregon, Curtis Rourke, quarterback out of Indiana. Oh, wait, did I say running back for Jordan James, or did I say quarterback?
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, well, Jordan James, running back out of Oregon, Curtis Rourke, quarterback out of Indiana, Connor Colby, guard out of Iowa, and Junior Bergen, wide receiver out of Montana. So no flashy names, no high-end prospects. Obviously, taken in round 4, you're not going to have the big names. But they got a couple depth pieces. They got 2 wide receivers in their depth chart to add to Brandon Ayuk and Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. And then you add a depth running back to Christian McCaffrey and Isaac Guerrero. And Jordan James is probably going to be the RB3 with the exit of Jordan Mason. Isaac Guerrero is probably going to be running back 2 this season. And then Curtis Rourke is just a quarterback depth piece. He was taken out of Indiana. So I don't expect him to be anything considering the fact that Brock Purdy is still QB1 there.
DeMarcus Robinson, also a pickup from the Rams, wide receiver.
Oh, wow. I did not know he went to the Rams.
Yep,
to the Cardinals.
Yeah, he's listed there on the depth chart. You said Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, and Brandon Ayuk, the notable names. Jacob Cowing, actually, former UTEP minor. We talked about this.
Cowing, yeah.
He's listed as the second slot receiver, so that should be interesting. I'm going to definitely be rooting for that guy. And Mac Jones back up to Brock Purdy. So if anything was to happen there, that would be the guy you target to back him up. Isaac Garendo is listed as the number 2, followed by Jordan James at the 3 spot on the depth chart.
Yeah, I don't know. So the 49ers team is weird this year.
Well, they're still going to be competitive, though. For sure.
You know what? I don't think so.
I think they will.
I think they missed the playoffs again.
I think but I mean, competitive means like in the hunt at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see them winning like 6 games minimum.
Yeah, they're not going to like have a 4-win season or like a 5-win season.
I mean, Brock Purdy's still your QB1. They just signed George Kittle to be the highest paid tight end, actually.
And they're going to play Seattle twice. They're going to play Arizona twice and the Rams twice.
Right. I think they split with every team.
I think they could probably sweep the Cardinals. I don't see the Cardinals being that good.
No, you know what? Because the Cardinals always are competitive when it comes to the NFC West games.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
interdivision is never easy. You play them twice a year, so you know their schemes. You know the way they want to run their offense. You know what they like to run on defense. So.
And since they have DeMarcus Robinson, they really have the inside scoop on the Rams. Just saying.
Hey man, any upper leg?
I don't think that ever like really matters that much.
You don't think so?
No, well, because they change their schemes year to year.
Okay, well, I don't think DeMarcus Robinson is like a big enough name to say like, oh, he's gonna have a revenge game. But I think revenge games are very like relevant.
They're real.
Yeah, they're real. Like when a star player leaves a team and replays them in their next season,
especially when it ends on like bad terms and shit, they're like super motivated.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, I'm gonna smoke you today, fool. Like
I'm gonna smoke you today.
In other terms, but you know.
Well, like back in 2000, I think it was 4, when Drew Bledsoe went to the Bills. I think it was like week 2 where Drew Bledsoe threw like 400 yards on the Patriots.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the Patriots started the season like 1-2, and everybody was like, oh, they made the wrong decision. Like they should have kept Drew Bledsoe. Like who even is Tom Brady? And he had already had
who is Tom Brady?
Yeah, like who is Tom Brady? And then he turns out to be the best quarterback of all time. So it's like clearly Bill Belichick knew what he was doing. But 49ers, I'm going to be excited for Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to be excited for Christian McCaffrey if he's healthy. Correction. If he's healthy, he has the potential to be a top 3 running back simply because he pass catches a lot. Like he's probably going to be the number 1 pass catching running back if he stays healthy. That's just how it is. So he's going to have over 1,000 yards rushing, close to 1,000 yards receiving, because he is probably the number 1 threat on that team. And then you have Brock Purdy, who is going to stay relevant. I don't think he ends as a QB1 this year anymore, but I think he does stay relevant. Brandon Ayuk.
You don't think he's a QB1?
In terms of fantasy, so top 12.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm... Dude.
Top 12?
Yes, for
I think he's going to be like on the cusp of
12.
Dude,
just based on his usage, he's going to get there.
Nah.
Yeah, they're going to throw the ball. And
you know what?
Like you said, you just said McCaffrey's going to be the number 1 pass catcher. If that's the truth, then that means this guy's going to be dumping the ball around everywhere.
Not necessarily because, Malik Neighbors last year was like the number 3 wide receiver. You're telling me Tommy DeVito was a top-end quarterback?
No, because
was Drew Lock a top-end quarterback?
No, but you can get there just based on yards. You know what I'm saying? And that's why...
No, because you need that touchdown upside
right, but,
for a quarterback.
But Purdy's going to have the yardage to be a top 12 quarterback for sure.
He'll throw 3,500 yards minimum, and he'll throw 15 touchdowns.
Well, he'll throw 15 touchdowns in his sleep.
Dude, no, he
yes,
won't.
He will, dude.
Oh
yes, he will. God. That offense is geared for him to fucking be productive.
Hot take of the day. Brandon Ayuk. Fuck.
Brandon. He's the quarterback now?
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk.
Dude, look, this is what's wrong with you. You get too emotional about this, and then you start calling people the wrong names.
My bad. Hot take of the day. Brock Purdy's overrated.
Well, I don't think he's like... Nobody's calling him the best of all time. I just think he's decent.
Okay, outside of fantasy.
He's not a bad quarterback.
Outside of fantasy, do you think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league? Like outside fantasy doesn't matter.
No, because you can name 10 quarterbacks better than him.
Okay,
but fantasy-wise, he's going to be a top 12.
Oh, that's
like barely,
rough.
But he's going to be in there.
Yeah, like I said, barely. Like he's going to be on the cusp of 12. I don't think he enters 12 though. Like at the end of the season, I think he will be top 12.
So who's in front of him? Lamar.
Okay, obviously.
Hold on, let me work through this. Lamar,
Here, watch.
Right?
Okay, we got Lamar, Josh Allen.
Hold on, let me work through this.
Well, I'm not going in order.
No. I'm just gonna name. Try to get to 12 and not have Brock Purdy in there.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, Lamar, Baker Mayfield,
Okay.
Josh Allen.
Yep.
Probably Dak.
No, I don't have Dak in front of him.
You don't have Dak in the top 12.
No, I don't.
Okay, so Dak's not in the top 12. So you're actually helping me out here.
Kind of, yeah. But I haven't done these. Like I haven't.
Well, no, I'm not ranking them. I'm just saying I'm trying to get to 12.
Are we okay? Are we talking fantasy or just real?
No, we're
football?
talking fantasy.
Fantasy? Okay,
Yes.
I don't have Dak in front of him.
Okay, so I just forgot who I named.
Okay,
Lamar.
Lamar, Josh Allen, Baker.
Okay, Josh Allen. Hold on.
You got 3.
Let me work through this.
It's hard when you don't have a list.
CJ Stroud will probably be up there.
I don't have him in front of him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. Who do you have? Jordan Love?
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan Love's in there.
Oh, wait. Where do I have Jordan Love?
You don't do
Yeah. No. I don't have Jordan Love in front of him.
So you don't have Jordan, Dak, or Brock Purdy.
Jordan Love is 1 spot behind him. CJ Stroud is 2 spots behind him, and Dak is 5 spots behind him. But I haven't fully adjusted these for fantasy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not for real. How's
CJ Stroud not on there?
No, I don't have him in front of him.
Who do you have on that list?
Dude, just
don't
name
tell. Okay, don't. I'm trying to. Okay, Matthew Stafford.
No, Matthew Stafford is not going to be in front of him.
What? Who do you have on
No.
this list? Hold on.
Matt Stafford
Don't
is
tell
at
me
24
Kyler Murray's in there.
He's 1 spot in front of him. It's Kyler Murray and then
he's in the
Brock
12.
Purdy. No. Brock Purdy's number 15 for me.
What the fuck?
All right, I'm going to go through it real quick.
Hold on. This doesn't make any sense.
Dude, it
Hold on.
makes sense
Stop.
for
Stop.
fantasy.
Stop.
All right.
Do you have Cam Ward in there?
No, okay. God, no.
Trevor
Cam
Lawrence.
Ward's at the bottom.
Trevor Lawrence?
No. Wait.
Bryce Young?
Where's Trevor Lawrence? Oh, no. Bryce Young is not in front of him either.
Dude, what? Who is in? Okay, go.
Dude,
go.
Josh Allen,
Okay.
Lamar Jackson,
Yes.
Jaden Daniels.
Hold on, slow down.
All right, Josh Allen,
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow.
Oh, I forgot about Joe.
Jalen Hurts.
Forgot about Jalen.
Baker Mayfield.
I said Baker.
Jared Goff. Bo Nix.
No.
Justin Herbert. Patrick Mahomes.
Justin Herbert, yeah. Pat Mahomes, yeah.
I ranked him a little high. I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams is the one I'm going to fix. I have Caleb Williams at 11.
Over Brock Purdy?
Simply
you
because
are high.
Dude, who does Brock
You
Purdy?
are high.
Oh my God, I'm not high,
Caleb
bro.
Williams.
Dude, I have Caleb at 11.
Bro, remember all the talk we were saying about Bears quarterbacks? And now you have the Bears quarterback, the top 12 in the league in fantasy?
I have Caleb.
You are higher than a fucking giraffe's pussy.
Oh, what?
You were higher than that. I'm telling you right now.
Here, watch. Hold on. I'll pull this up for you.
Dude, that is the worst list I've ever heard. Like, bad. Brock Purdy's not in there.
Dude, Brock is at 15.
Dak's not. Dude, you have Caleb over Dak.
Yes.
I'm not even trying to be a homer. You're just, that's just wrong.
Look, this is.
I'm not going to argue
look,
this. I'm not arguing
this is fantasypros.com.
argue this.
Fantasypros.com.
There's no pros over there. I can tell you that much. If you name yourself a fantasy pro, you're probably not a pro.
Fantasy Pros has Caleb at 13.
Yeah, you have him at 11.
Where's Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy's at 12.
Thank you, Fantasy Pros. Thank you for proving my point.
Okay, at the
Where's
cusp,
Dak?
at
Where's
the cusp
Dak?
of 12.
Where's Dak?
Dak's at 17 here.
Wow, I thought you were going to say 7. Okay.
No.
Anyways.
I have Dak at 20 on mine.
What?
But that was before
high.
before the George Pickens.
Yeah, we'll talk about that right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk about that
All
right
right, that's it for the Niners. Brock Purdy, top 12 fantasy quarterback this year, for sure. I'm calling it right now.
Maybe.
The Fantasy Pro said it. It must be true.
Dude,
if you go to them for everything.
If you're on the cusp of 12, you're not making 12.
It doesn't matter. You said top 12. He's number 12.
Dude, they
That's
have
top 12.
Kyler at 9.
Yeah, because of his ability to run.
Exactly. I have him way lower.
Well, yeah, but that's why it's fantasy based. So, yeah, he should be in the
Not
top
way lower.
12.
I have him at 14.
Anyways, moving on.
God. Moving on to the Seahawks. We got the Seahawks.
Caleb Williams. Guys.
9 out of their 11 picks were on offense. Their number 1 pick was Gray Zabel, offensive guard out of North Dakota State. And then they took Elijah Oroya, tight end out of Miami, which is Cam Ward's tight end. Jalen Milroe was actually the surprise in the draft. They took out of Alabama, quarterback, and then they took Torrey Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado, Robbie Oates, tight end out of Alabama, Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami, and Ricky White III, wide receiver out of UNLV. So they didn't really draft anyone that could probably make a difference this year outside of Gray Zabel, which is the guard. Skill position-wise, none of these guys I don't expect to be relevant. If Sam Darnold gets hurt, if he plays really bad the first half of the season and he gets benched and Jalen Milroe comes in, I think Jalen Milroe is going to be the only one that can make an impact out of their draftees.
Well, he's actually listed as number 3 behind Drew Lock.
Really?
Yeah, Drew Lock is the second.
It might change after camp.
Maybe.
Because I feel like technically he hasn't been signed yet. But a lot of these rookies haven't signed their contracts.
But if Sam Darnold does go down, you are playing Drew Lock over Jalen Milroe to start. He gets the first chance. He has to. He's a pro already.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Imagine being Drew Lock and they're like, yeah, Milroe's going to start over you.
I don't disagree with that, but you have to look at it. You have to look at it from their point. Like, what if they see Jalen Milroe is the future and they're like, we got to get this guy in. Like, we got to see what he can do.
Jalen Milroe's nobody's future, dude.
I'm just saying.
I'm telling you right now.
I don't disagree with
Alabama quarterback, like I said.
Here we go.
Come back to my rule.
Here we go.
Anyways, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is on this team. I think
I told you this last time that Marquez Valdes-Scantling has played with the previous MVP the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, he's played with Josh Allen.
Cooper Kupp's here too. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, Cooper Kupp moved to the Seahawks.
Jake Bobo, he's on the team too.
Jake Bobo hasn't done anything at tight end.
No, well, he's listed as a wide receiver, actually.
Oh, is he? I thought he was a tight end. Oh,
no, he's listed
I'm a
as
casual.
The number 2. He's the number 4th wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then Jackson Smith and Jigba listed as the number 1 slot wide receiver. I'm actually very high on him, even though they have Cooper Kupp still.
I'm extremely high on JSN. I think JSN is going to be a wide receiver. If he gets the production that he can get out of Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold produced Justin Jefferson. I'm not going to say he produced him last year, but he gave him the opportunity to be a wide receiver 1 once again. We know how talented Justin Jefferson is, and he's done it with multiple quarterbacks that weren't MVP caliber beforehand. So Justin Jefferson is just like a unicorn from that. But I have JSN ranked as my number 10 wide receiver this year. So he has the potential to be a wide receiver 1. I think he finished as the wide receiver 7 last year. So I ranked him a little bit lower just because of who's in front of him. But I think he absolutely has the potential to be a top 5 wide receiver if he gets the production. The only thing I can see him struggling with is maybe touchdowns. But if Sam Darnold can play the way he played in Minnesota, he absolutely is going to be a top 5 wide receiver. And that's just that. They also have...
That's just that, folks.
That's just that. I mean... They have a new offensive coordinator who actually was talking about how he wants to run a dual-headed monster with Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. So a lot of people were kind of excited about that, but
not for fantasy though. That sucks.
Well,
they're gonna poach each other's touchdowns
if they can make it work the way that David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs do, which. It's not always going to happen with every team. Right.
That's a rarity right there.
It is a rarity, absolutely. But if they can make it work, I think that's exciting.
They should have a more aggressive nickname, too, than Sonic and Tails. It's kind of...
Sonic and Knuckles.
Or Knuckles. Yeah, still, whatever.
Well, they're the ones that picked
it, though. But they should have been more aggressive about it.
Well, what did you want them to be? It's not like
the Hardy Boys.
Dude, what?
Just running through people like the Hardy Boys run through tables. I don't know, dude. Come on. Sonic and Knuckles, dude, okay. It's a video game. We get it. It could be better than that.
Dude, how that's badass.
No,
dude,
it's not.
Sonic is Jahmyr Gibbs. He's fast as shit.
Yeah, dude.
And then Knuckles is Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's super strong, and he can fucking run through anyone.
No, and Sonic's overrated as a game.
Oh my god, dude. Get the fuck
as a whole,
okay,
character.
As a game, maybe.
Yeah, as a whole,
no. Dude, as a character, he's badass.
No, his cultural relevance does not need to be as high as high as it is. It's kind of upsetting, actually.
Dude, just get off the podcast, bro.
Sonic and Knuckles, bro.
Jesus, why are you shitting on their nickname?
What
if I wanted to shit on Clay and Steph as the Splash Bros?
No, that's a good one, dude, because they actually
splash. Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're a linebacker for another team, you're like, I'm gonna fuck this Sonic guy up. Dude, he thinks he's all blue and fast. I'm gonna fuck him up. You know what I mean? I don't know. God.
They've already proven. It's not like some nickname that they have to prove. They've already proven.
No, I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just saying that the name sucks.
I don't think their name
Like
sucks,
they should have like a PR guy that's telling them, dude, we can do something better than this.
Whatever. All right.
Peanut butter jelly.
Let's move on to the Rams. Okay, so where do you see? Dude, shut the fuck up. God bless.
Peanut butter jelly.
Where do you have Sam Darnold this year?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have him as a QB1, QB2?
He's gonna be QB1 as long as he's starting for sure.
Okay. I ranked him...
Unless they're like conservative and they don't want to throw the ball, but they will.
Holy shit, what was I doing with this ranking? I have him way low.
Bro, your rankings are...
I gotta fix this.
They're ranked up, son.
Well, this isn't official yet.
I know, but I mean, just from what I've heard, good God, what were you doing? He was higher than shit doing this.
5. The last 5 guys on here are like just teams because we don't even know who's going to be the starter for them.
The New York Giants.
Yeah, I have the New York Giants because I put Jackson
New York
Dart.
Jets.
I put Jackson Dart / Russell Wilson / Jameis Winston. So I don't even have them ranked.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's a bad situation in New York.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on to the Rams.
That's the last team in the NFC West.
Yeah, last team in the NFC West. We got 3 out of their 6 picks were on offense, and they did not have a first rounder once again. They traded it away, and they got another first rounder for next year. So I think this is like the 4th or 5th consecutive year where the Rams do not have a first round pick, but next year they'll actually have 2 first rounders. So they got Terrence Ferguson, which was tight end out of Oregon. They got Harquez Hunter, running back out of Auburn, and they got Kanata Mumpfried, wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. So once again, Terrence Ferguson could be an impact on the team, but we've seen multiple times, or we have multiple years of stats where Matthew Stafford just does not utilize his tight end. He utilizes his wide receivers and his running backs. He never really utilizes his tight end. So I wouldn't expect Terrence Ferguson to be high on anybody's list in the coming season. And I also wouldn't expect anything out of Harquez Hunter because they have Kyron Williams in their backfield. And as small as he is that we've talked about, he is an absolute bell cow. He will touch the ball and carry the ball 500 times a year if he has to. And he will get double-digit touchdowns. And he'll easily get 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 yards because he's done it back-to-back years already. The big news out of LA earlier this offseason was Devontae Adams moving to the Rams from the Jets. So that's a wide receiver duo that a lot of people are excited to see. They extended Matthew Stafford to another, I believe it was a 2-year or 3-year contract.
I think it was 2 years.
I think it was 2 years. So he's there for at least another 2 years. And it's just a matter of if he'll be starting this year or next year. And then he will be throwing to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, which could be a deadly duo. Puka Nacua is regarded as a wide receiver 1 in this coming season now that Cooper Kupp is gone. But now that they add Devontae Adams, he could steal a few targets just because of how talented Devontae Adams is off the line and contested catches as well.
Tutu Atwell. He's probably the one that suffers the most.
He's going to suffer. If Puka Nacua can stay healthy for 17 games, which he hasn't yet, he can be the wide receiver 1 on the season just because of how heavy of a target share he has from Matthew Stafford.
Jimmy Garoppolo, second string.
Dude, Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to do anything.
No, I know. It's just funny to see who's still around, who's still collecting paychecks.
Dude, he was with
my boy Jimmy.
He was with the 49ers, and then he went to the Raiders, right?
Dude, Jimmy's had a crazy career if you think about it.
I mean, he's won 3 Super Bowls.
He was the next Tom Brady at one point.
Dude, he was.
That's what's crazy. And now he's backing up Matt Stafford with the Rams.
Dude, and then Tom Brady went on to win, 3 more Super Bowls after he left New England?
But he's a good-looking guy, and he's living in LA, so he probably does very well for himself out there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Probably.
He cleans up.
Cleans up.
You know what I mean? He hits grand slams every once in a while.
He cleans up or he gets dirty?
Both at the same time. It's possible. I've done it.
All right. Well, that's it for the NFC West. Let's move on to the NFC South. We got the Saints. There was breaking news this morning, actually, of the time of this recording, out of New Orleans. Derek Carr announced his retirement after 11 years in the league. He accrued 41,000 passing yards through his NFL career. So that was ranked, I think, 25 or 26 all time. He had 4 Pro Bowl appearances, and he was 3rd in MVP voting in 2016. So he had a good career, nothing spectacular, definitely not Hall of Fame worthy. But he is on the all-time passing list in the top 50, top 25 even. So that is something to be proud of. He definitely made a lot of money from Oakland and Las Vegas and New Orleans, especially the contract that they gave him. But We did talk about him earlier this year where he was with a shoulder injury and he could likely miss the 2025 season. And I guess he just decided to call it quits after trainers and everybody else told him that it was going to be a long-term shoulder injury and that there was going to be permanent damage to his labrum, I believe. So rest in peace, Derek Carr's career.
I hate when you do that. I hate when you do that.
Dude, I just say like R.I.P. Derek Carr and you're like, he died?
Yeah, no, I know. No. It's just the worst thing to say. It's a very touchy subject for me, you know?
It's his career.
I know, but still.
His career over?
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
I mean,
rest in peace,
just
Derek Carr's career.
R.I.P. just is so like so final.
Rest in peace, Derek Carr's career.
It's just so final. It's like a finality. Like
well, because it's come to an end.
I know, but like
when Tom Brady's career is over.
I just think of it differently.
Tom Brady's career.
I just think of it differently. You know,
but he's not dead. His career.
He feels dead.
I mean, yeah, in the
he
football
felt
world,
dead.
In the football world,
he's been dead for a while.
In the football world, when you retire, you're dead.
I used to think Derek Carr was a good fantasy quarterback when he was with the Raiders.
I mean, he was.
He was decent,
when
bro.
When he had like Henry Ruggs,
he was decent. When you could pick him up as the last pick in the draft, and he's still your starting quarterback because everybody passed on him.
Yeah,
you're doing all right.
He was never the flashy guy.
He always kept his head down.
You know, there was rumors before he left New Orleans that him and Dak were going to swap places.
No way.
I remember that. There was rumors back in, I think it was like 3 years ago now, where Dak was supposed to go to the Raiders and Derek Carr was supposed to come to Dallas. It was going to be a swap.
Shout out David Carr, by the way.
Oh, yeah. His brother played for the Texans back in, 02, 04?
He was the first starting quarterback of that franchise, and he got demolished. And it sucks because, like, both of them, they really did get beat up.
They really did.
They really took a beating.
They really did.
Like the Hardy Boys. They should be called the Hardy Boys. There you go. God, took a beating with their bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, and
just
they
like
both,
pro wrestler.
Suffered.
For real, dude. David Carr is walking around with a huge amount of CTE right now.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
100%.
Like a unhealthy amount, for real.
Well, the Saints had 9 draft picks. With their first pick in the draft, at pick 9, they took Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. And then the shock was in round 2 when they took Tyler Shuck. Did you know how that's how you pronounce his name? Even though it has a G in it, it's pronounced Shuck, like when you shuck corn.
Like, I wonder what not ethnicity, what heritage that is. Like,
I mean, I don't know, but it's just got to be white.
Well, yeah, but like
it's SHOUG.
Here, hold on.
SHOUG. So when he was drafted, I was like, oh, they took Tyler Show, but I later learned that it was pronounced Tyler Shuck, quarterback out of Louisville.
It's German.
German?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's also possibly derived from the Iceland dog breed called Shock.
Shock.
Which is a curly-haired lapdog, just in case you're wondering. Bro, look
so
at
what you're saying is the Saints drafted a curly-haired lapdog, basically.
Pretty much, and that's who they're rolling with.
They drafted a lapdog, bro. That's an insult.
An Icelandic one, though.
An Icelandic lapdog,
dude. If I met a dog that was from Iceland, I'd be like, dude, that's a badass dog.
Okay, but what if he was the starting quarterback for your franchise?
That's not good.
It's not good.
That's really bad, actually. That's like really, really, really bad.
Oh my god,
that's terrible. Actually,
they also.
They're gonna sign someone, right? They can't just go in like this. I mean, they got Spencer Rattler as their most.
I think they go in with this.
No, they can't. There's no way. Spencer Rattler is your most experienced quarterback.
Hear me out.
Okay, look, I know
they got Jake Haener too.
Right, they're gonna throw the season. I get it.
Yes,
right?
They're gonna start Tyler Shuck. They're gonna put him in purgatory because they have no offensive line really. Chris Olave is getting concussions every other week.
He's gonna die if he plays.
Exactly why they're gonna put him out on the field, and then they're gonna draft Arch Manning next year with the first.
You shouldn't treat a dog like that,
dude. I'm gonna call animal services
control, or not control, animal PETA.
What?
No, well, yeah, because they protect animals.
Isn't that a cracker, PETA?
No,
bread, isn't it?
PETA bread. Yeah, but it's also like people for the ethical treatment of animals. That's what it stands for. Look it up.
Say that again.
People for the ethical treatment of animals. Look it up.
PETA. Oh, so it's like PETA.
Yeah. Look it up.
Okay, I was thinking PI. No, I'm not going to look it up. I don't need to know what PETA stands for. I'm just saying it's the bread.
It's very good bread with some hummus.
Oh my god,
fire,
dude! How white are you with some hummus?
Hummus is not a white thing, then.
Is
hummus,
it not a white thing?
Hummus is like a Middle Eastern thing. Like
but like in the U.S.
Well, I mean, there's different forms of hummus.
Like the Americanized version of hummus is like for white people.
No, well, okay, yeah, but yeah, hummus is from the Middle East. Actually, that's a city.
God damn it.
Okay, no. Hummus dish. Origin, Middle East. Got it.
Got it.
I was looking. Okay, look. So.
What are you looking at?
I was trying to figure out who's still available as a.
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Aaron Rodgers has got to be number one. So Aaron Rodgers has not signed with a team yet up until this point. But
he's
now
not going to sign there, though.
Well, with the release of Derek Carr, you never know.
No, he won't sign there.
At this point, there's no more Super Bowl contenders that are going to sign him, right?
Right.
So
but
at this
that's
point,
not but he's not going to play there.
Right, I understand that. There's
okay.
No
we got
more
Aaron Rodgers,
Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz, Desmond Ridder, C.J. Beathard, Teddy Bridgewater, Jeff Driscoll, Tyler Huntley, Mike White, Ben DiNucci, and Jaron Hall.
Dude, that's horrible.
That's your pick of the litter.
Who was the second name on that list?
Carson Wentz. There's no way he can play anymore, though. He's old. No, he's not old. He just seems like
he's
old.
only like 30.
I mean, that's a very, very bleak list of quarterbacks right there. Very bleak to say. I'm being nice, by the way, saying bleak. Imagine Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. Like, let's say he retires. That's who you have to choose from.
Yeah, that's rough.
If you're let me read that one more time. I'm gonna leave Aaron Rodgers off of this. Carson Wentz, Desmond Ridder, C.J. Beathard, Teddy Bridgewater, Jeff Driscoll, Tyler Huntley, Mike White, Ben DiNucci, and Jaron Hall.
Holy Jesus Christ.
That's
the
crazy.
Best name on that list was Carson Wentz, I guess. I mean, you have to go with Carson Wentz.
I'm going Teddy Bridgewater just because he's my guy.
I fuck with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah. TB?
Yeah, Teddy Two Gloves?
Yep. I'm going with him. I'm just citing him just because I like him.
They also took running back Devin Neal out of Kansas, and they took tight end Malachi Motavo out of UCLA. So I don't really expect any of these guys to do anything. Once again, Calvin Banks Jr. is going to be on the starting lineup, considering that he was the 9th overall pick at tackle. Tyler Shuck may or may not be the starter now with the release of Derek Carr. It could also be Spencer Rattler. It probably won't be Jake Haener just because of how horrendous he played last year. And then Devin Neal, running back out of Kansas. They still have Alvin Kamara. So if he goes down, he might get some field time. But as long as Alvin Kamara stays healthy, he most likely won't get any share time. Because I think their second running back on the depth chart,
Kendre Miller.
Kendre Miller, he was drafted, I think, last year or 2 years ago now. And we really haven't seen much of him. Like, he was expected to be a really good running back. He just went to a bad situation because obviously they only use one running back there in New Orleans, which is Alvin Kamara, and he's a Swiss Army knife. He plays everything. I don't know what it is about the Saints, but they just like draft people who can play any position.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the depth chart here. Where did he go to school?
I forgot about Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Where did he go? Do you know?
I do know because I just saw this, but I forgot.
LSU.
Yeah, he was on the 2019 Bengals. Bengals. He was on the 2019 Tigers with Joe Burrow. I was thinking of Bengals.
Yep.
He was with Joe
LSU.
Burrow. That's right. Yeah.
5'7".
He was on that badass 2019 team.
Yep.
How old is he? Like 26?
He was supposed to be like really good.
Yeah, he was. He was what? Like 20? He's like 26 now.
Yeah, he was born in 1999.
Yeah, so he's 26
years old, yeah.
Huh? So he's still young. I mean, he just didn't.
That's crazy,
He produced for a couple games for Kansas City 1 year, and then we really never saw much of him after that.
He was on the PUP. He was on IR.
Yeah, he got injured. Oh, actually, he didn't get injured. He was going through mental health issues, actually.
And then, he was literally, he's been with the Chiefs this whole time.
You're not even paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah. You said he had mental problems.
Yeah, mental health issues.
Yeah, but I mean, he was on the PUP. He was on the IR, so... and then, I'm surprised that he was with KC this whole time, and this is the only other team he's been with is New Orleans now.
Yeah, there was rumors that he would sign with the Lions at the end of last year because David Montgomery went down, and they needed a second running back to back up Jahmyr Gibbs in the playoffs, but clearly they didn't go far in the playoffs, so they didn't need him, and then he signed with the Saints. And then the Panthers, on the Saints real quick. Alvin Kamara is going to be a top end running back.
I don't know. He was very bad last year.
He wasn't bad last year. He was good.
For
he
his
just got
standards.
Hurt. No, he got hurt.
He was.
I think he played. I want to say like 12,
I think he also knew that
year.
the team was like not doing well, so he's like, I'm gonna sit this one out today. Yeah,
this isn't my day.
I'm not gonna go that hard. I mean, because why would you? Right? You're gonna risk getting hurt when your team is falling apart.
I would not want to play for the Saints.
And it's evident. I mean, Brandon Cooks is actually back
right.
with the Saints.
That's crazy. He could retire like at the end of this season simply because he signed with that team. Like it could be like a homecoming kind of thing.
Yeah, just riding off into the sunset. This
right.
is where the cowboy rides away, George Strait style.
Jesus Christ. So I would be avoiding any quarterback out of New Orleans for now.
No, yeah, for sure, dude.
Absolutely. What about Chris Olave? What happens to Chris Olave's stock?
Well, it's hard to tell right now. Until they know who's going to start. I mean, even if...
Because I have Chris Olave at wide receiver 26.
Yeah, he's going to be towards the bottom half of the... Well, actually at the very bottom.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather have Jerry Jeudy out of the Browns or Chris Olave out
Jerry
of the...
Jeudy.
Would you rather have...
He has a quarterback.
Would you rather have Brandon Ayuk or Chris Olave?
He has a quarterback too. We already talked about this.
Xavier Worthy or Chris Olave?
Scratch that. I don't know. That's a tough one.
That's Jalen Waddle or Chris Olave?
Jalen Waddle. I'll take Jalen Waddle. Just his potential, like on a sweep, just one play, gone to the crib. I've never been a big Waddle guy. I like to walk.
Dude, oh my God.
Bro, why do you get mad at the jokes? That's a good one.
That was horrible.
That's a good one. And it's not like I was forcing it.
Oh God. Bro, they just make me cringe.
Dude, that was funny, dude. Come on. Anyways.
That one was all right.
Okay, what about the Panthers? What about them? What can you have to say
I'm
about
excited
them?
for the Panthers this year.
Rico Dowdle? I'm just asking.
Rico Dowdle can have some.
Rico Dowdle did very well with the Cowboys.
He did do. They should have fucking resigned him.
They should have kept him.
The Panthers had 8 draft picks.
But
this
they're
year.
like, let's get Miles Sanders. But we'll get into that later.
They took 8 draft picks this year. Teteroy McMillan was their wide receiver that was taken at pick 8 out of Arizona. They got Trevor Etienne, which is the brother of Travis Etienne. He's a running back out of Georgia. We got Mitchell Evans, tight end out of Notre Dame, and we got Jimmy Horn Jr., wide receiver out of Colorado. So they didn't draft anyone that could make a difference outside of Tet McMillan. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 on that team. Like, no two ways around it. Adam Thielen is definitely going to take a step back this year. I would be avoiding Adam Thielen in fantasy if Tet McMillan or if... Who's their wide receiver 2?
Xavier Legette.
Xavier Legette.
Legette? No, that's legit.
It's Legette.
Anyways.
Look up. Dude, have you seen this guy talk?
Who?
Xavier Legette.
No, I don't want to.
Dude, he talks like he talks like that. You can't.
Hey, he's from the South, bro. He's from the South.
Dude, he's funny to watch.
Jimmy Horn Jr.
Jimmy Horn Jr., wide receiver out of Colorado, was their other wide receiver that they took. So their wide receiver room consists of what now? It's Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, Jimmy Horn Jr., Tet McMillan, and
Jalen Coker.
David
Moore.
Coker. It's Coker. You can't say Cocker.
Coker. Sorry, there was only one C there. David Moore is in there.
If there was 2 C's, it'd be Cocker.
Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter
Renfrow.
That's right.
Yes.
Yo, Hunter Renfrow MVP
That's
season.
my guy. I'm taking him number 1 pick overall. I didn't know he was on the roster. He's listed as the number 3 slot receiver.
He just signed with them, yeah.
Damn, my boy Hunt.
Well, he didn't play at all last year.
Yeah, no, but
he didn't sign with the team.
That's my guy though. Like really? For real, yeah.
Your guy.
Yeah.
We named him in the... Remember when we were naming white skill position players?
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow has to be mentioned. He has to be mentioned.
He has to be. Dude, he had like an MVP fantasy season like 3 years ago.
Like top white receivers, like the white receiver Mount Rushmore.
He's got to be on
Hunter
there.
Renfrow's
just
on there.
because of that one season.
Yeah. And he's got the pivotal spot like that. And the front-facing face.
Adam
like
Thielen's got to be on there too.
Yeah, they're actually 1 and 2.
Yeah, and those they're both on the same team.
Yeah, Bryce Young better have himself like a year. He better have himself.
Dude, he's got the Mount Rushmore of white wide receivers.
So
this year.
Andy Dalton's hanging around there.
Holy shit! If they throw Andy Dalton in there,
Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Trevor Etienne, and Raheem Blackshear are your running backs.
I say Raheem Blackshear gets cut before the season.
No, he'll probably end up on the practice squad.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to be.
I'm excited simply because if
I don't know how you could be excited
if
about
Bryce
the
Young
Panthers.
can play the way he played at the back end of the season this year, which he will,
He won't.
he can produce a wide receiver 1 out of Tet McMillan. I think out of all the guys that we have talked about that has not played a snap in the season, right? We don't know exactly how he's going to perform. We have no previous information on him in the NFL. Rookie-wise, this is the guy that has the biggest potential to be a wide receiver 1, the way Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors were last year.
I think Bryce Young actually hurts him in this situation.
I think opposite.
Well, I guess that's why we got to watch the games, right?
That's why we got to watch the games. And then I think,
Bryce Young is if they don't protect him, he's going to have another bad year. So that's going to be the ultimate.
I think he will have a good year. I think Tet McMillan will have a good year, and I think Chuba Hubbard will continue to have a great career if
and
he
Hunter
stays
Renfro,
healthy.
And don't forget about
Hunter Renfro.
Shout out. Okay, moving on to the Falcons.
We got the Falcons.
We got the last two of this division.
Yeah, we got
Falcons.
We got the
Bucks.
Falcons. They had 5 picks in the draft, and they took 2 defensive players in the first round. So they traded back into the first round to get Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. at the back end of it. And they took 0 skill positions on offense, which shows that they have plenty of confidence in their offense moving forward this season. Michael Penix Jr. is projected to be the first quarterback or the starting quarterback this year. They got Bijan Robinson as their running back. They got Drake London and Darnell Mooney as their wide receivers. And Kyle Pitts will once again be a disappointing tight end this year.
Ray McLeod.
He's not going to do anything. I mean, he'll have
just a good name.
He'll have like 400
name.
yards this season.
That's a great name, though.
It is a great name.
Ray McLeod, dog. Let's get
McLeod.
Yep. Philip Dorsett's on there. Philip Dorsett the second.
I was about to say Philip Dorsett is like 90, bro.
No, this is, I guess, his kid. Well, obviously, right? The second. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Nothing much to say with the running back situation there. Obviously, Bijan's going to be the guy. And you already named the wide receivers, and you took a shot at Kyle Pitts, and I noticed that. Shout out.
I love Kyle Pitts, okay?
I love him. I just took a dirty shot at him.
I love him. I want him to be good so bad. I want him to be good. But he is just not a fantasy
It's too inconsistent.
Producer. Yeah. I mean, like last year, he was still like the tight end 13 or 10 on the year, something like that.
Yeah.
And he had a horrible stinking year. I know because I had him on my team.
Just tight ends are tough.
I think he had like 2 back-to-back weeks where he put up like 26 and 30. And I was like, oh my God, like I stole him in the draft. He's going to be good now that Kirk Cousins is throwing to him. Like this is going to be his year where he ends up as a top 3 tight end. And I stole him in like the 10th round. And here he is disappointing again. Yep. So everybody's gonna view him as a top end tight end. And I don't blame you for viewing him as a top tight end just because of how talented he was coming out of college, how highly regarded he was coming out of college. And the situation that he's in. We saw at the end of last year, he actually did put up some decent numbers with Michael Penix in the last 2 games. He wasn't absolutely terrible to where he put up goose eggs, but he did hurt himself. I think it was the second to last game or the last game where he dropped I don't know if it was a touchdown or a 2-point conversion at the end of the, or no, he fumbled. He fumbled near the end zone. I think they were playing the Panthers, and that was the game that went into overtime. And everybody was like, here he fucking goes. Like, he gets the best opportunity to be a good tight end with his rookie quarterback and score a touchdown here. And that was the same game that Drake London had like 200 receiving yards. And everybody was like, this is going to be the offense to look for. And then he fucking fumbles, and I think he loses them the game. I think the Panthers ended up winning or something. So he's just going to be a disappointing tight end this year, and that's just how it is, unfortunately.
It's hard to be a Falcons fan right now.
It is. I have him as tight end 15 going into the year.
That's pretty high, too.
I know.
Well, I mean, in a bad way. Like, that's pretty low,
You know who I have in front of him? Hunter Henry on the Patriots.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Homer call, but that's okay.
And Dalton Kincaid from the Bills, who was disappointing last year, but I got him in front of Kyle Pitts.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has a quarterback at least, so that helps. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. Like I said, it's tough to be an Atlanta fan right now.
It is.
I could see a world where Penix doesn't do well and then Kirk Cousins comes back in, though. I could see that happening. Just depending on how things happen. Just how, like, depending on how things break down.
You think it's going to be like a Carolina situation where, like,
Andy
Dalton comes back in and he sits and
let's sit this guy down. Let's humble him a little bit. Let's make sure that he understands that he's not playing well. And
well, the difference between Bryce Young and Michael Penix is that Michael Penix actually sat his first year, except the last 2 games, I think, or 3 games.
Right.
And now he's set to be the starter compared to Bryce Young, where he was starter day 1.
Right. But I mean, Penix can still struggle because, like, you play the last 2 games of the season. That's one thing, but now he's gonna go from the get go. He's your starter. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I still view Michael Penix as a rookie. Michael Penix and JJ McCarthy from the Vikings, I view both of them as rookies still, simply because they were high end quarterbacks last year and they got no playing time. So obviously JJ McCarthy had I think it was a meniscus tear. I kept saying it was an ACL tear, but I think I found out that it was a meniscus tear. So they're not one and the same. Close enough, but not one and the same.
So let's wrap up this division with the Bucks here.
Yeah, they had 6 picks. Their surprise was their round 1 pick. They took Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, and they took Tez Johnson, wide receiver out of Oregon in round 7.
Tez goes hard.
You were saying that you like Tez Johnson, but he fell all the way to the 7th round when he was projected to be a top 3 rounds wide receiver.
I still think he has good potential.
Well, he fell because of I think it was his 40 time that was really slow. Like, it was over 5 seconds.
It could be like a factor of things. It could be maybe he was nursing an injury. Obviously, that is really bad for a wide receiver to run that slow. But he did show a lot of promise at Oregon with Dylan Gabriel. So I wouldn't totally write him off. And they also have Sterling Shepard in the wide receiver room.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
Actually, no, I did know that. You know, fun fact about Sterling Shepard, he actually played in college with Baker Mayfield.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Shit. Okay,
and I found that out last year because I was excited. Well, it sounds bad to say, but I was excited when Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both went down because I thought Sterling Shepard was going to get production from Baker because he was having a really good year. And he got no production.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
If Baker was to go down, it's very concerning who the quarterbacks are on this team.
They have.
You can't name one of them.
Okay, hold on. I know it starts with a B, doesn't it?
Well, that's the guy they drafted, but he's not going to be anywhere close. Connor Bazelak, and then Michael Pratt and Kyle Trask. Are the other quarterbacks in the Tampa Bay organization right now. That's kind of worrisome.
That's rough.
That is really worrisome, actually. And then you have Rashad White and Bucky Irving in the running back.
Yeah,
positions.
so Bucky Irving is going to be a high-end running back 1 this year. Yep. I think he will finish as a 1. He's going to be drafted in the top 5, top 10, and he's going to finish inside the top 5, top 10. He got a lot of production last year. He was a high running back last year, and he didn't even have the starting position until, I believe, week 6 when he overtook Rashad White in carries, and that was when he was officially the starter. They have 2 young wide receivers now. This might be the route that they're going. They got Emeka Egbuka, they got Tez Johnson, and they also have, remind me of his name?
Garrett Green.
Nope.
Well, that's one, and then there's Jalen McMillan.
Palmer. That guy. Yeah. So they got Jalen McMillan. Trey Palmer's actually really young too. Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson. So they got a young wide receiver core just in the case that Mike Evans retired this year or next year. And same thing with Chris Godwin in case he had left the organization. I think this is like a safety blanket. But he did sign that 3-year extension with the Bucks, so he is most likely going to be there for the next 3 years. It's just a matter of if he can stay relevant for the next 3 years, Chris Godwin. And Mike Evans, he may retire at the end of this year. He may retire at the end of next year. He is now on a ticking time clock. That's just how how his career is going to be viewed now. It's a matter of not if he retires, it's a matter of when he retires.
You're already RIPing him, poor guy.
Yeah, I'm already RIPing him. Not really. He's still going to be relevant for fantasy. I would look for the Bucks offense as a whole. I'm looking for Baker Mayfield. I'm looking for Chris Godwin. I'm looking for Mike Evans. I'm looking for Bucky, and I'm looking for Rashad White. And if you really want
to stash Jalen McMillan,
I was about to say, if you really want to go out on a limb, you can stash McMillan or Egbuka because one of those guys is going to be the wide receiver.
That's like a very good handcuff right there to Evans absolutely. Or to Godwin.
I mean, Evans is always getting hurt, whether it's a shoulder injury, a calf injury, a hamstring injury.
Between the two of them, I mean.
Yeah, and then Chris Godwin is coming off of a dislocated ankle, so that's not like a small injury to where he only missed like 2 games. He missed the entire second half of the season last year. So these are players that have been injured in the recent year, and Mike Evans has had a history of injuries, so he can go down at any given minute. Same thing with Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka could be the wide receiver 1 since he is higher regarded than Jalen McMillan, and Jalen McMillan could also be the wide receiver 1 since he's been there for a year now. So either one of those guys could be a great handcuff, but I wouldn't be looking for them right out of the draft if you're in redraft. If you're in Dynasty and if you're doing your draft, I would be looking for him. But if you're in redraft, I would probably not look for him.
You can look for him really late.
Yeah, really late. Probably like around 10.
There's value there for him.
There is value, but you're not going to get day 1 value.
No, yeah, but it's the long play. It's filling your roster with the most guys that have potential to have an impact at some point of the season.
Is going to be on a roster all throughout the year, but he's probably going to get passed around like a blunt.
Cade Otton,
like he's going to hit the waiver wire.
Like what? How do you know what that is?
What do you mean? How do I know?
How do you know that blunts get passed around?
Dude, he's going to get passed around like a blunt, bro.
That's a very
Watch.
very,
Jalen McMillan and Emeka Egbuka are going to be passed around like blunts this year. They're going to hit the waiver wire like 10 times this year in your league, and you're going to be like, oh, he hit the waiver wire, pick him up, and then you're going to get no production, and your wide receiver's going to go down, or your running back's going to go down. You're like, oh, well, I need someone else who's going to get me points.
That's probably the coolest thing that you've ever said.
Pick up someone else, and then he's going to hit the waiver wire again. Someone else is going to think the same thing, and he's going to be back on the waiver wire, and it's just going to be a repeating cycle. So if you want to take him and stash him, and if you have the room, great. If you don't do it.
I think that wraps up the Bucks there.
Yeah, that wraps it up. Let's take a quick break.
Okay, but before we do that, guys, we're going to take a quick break. But we want to make sure that you guys are following us on Instagram, liking on TikTok, and subscribing on YouTube. You can also follow me on my personal IG, Conversing with Chris.
Nobody cares.
And Adam, what's your IG handle?
I don't even know my IG handle.
Dude, how do you know? Oh, my God, dude. That's way to promote yourself. Anyways, when we come back, guys, we are going to talk the NFC East, right? That's one of my favorite divisions. And which other division are we missing?
The NFC North.
The NFC North. And then we might do some 5 random questions at the end. We'll think about that. But we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We took a little bit of a break, but we're going to kick it off with the NFC East. We're going to fly through this a little bit, just a little bit. We're in a little bit of a time crunch here. But we're going to kick it off with the Giants in the NFC East. They had 7 picks. Abdul Carter was the 3rd overall pick. Jackson Dart, which they traded back into the first round for, they took at pick 25. Cam Scatabo at running back from Arizona State, and they took Thomas Fidone the 2nd, tight end out of Nebraska. So they already had a young tight end there. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but Cam Scatabo, he could be a problem for Tyrone Tracy stock going into this next season for fantasy purposes and even like regular football purposes, because Cam Scatabo was a bell cow at Arizona State. He was the guy. There was no one else. So for him to go into a system where it was Tyrone Tracy and a little bit of Devin Singletary last year, Tyrone Tracy was the better of the two, and he was the pass catching back as well, because if you don't know about Tyrone Tracy, I believe coming out of the draft, he was a wide receiver, or in his last year in college, he was a wide receiver, and he got moved to running back. So when you're not a high draft pick and you want playing time, you're just going to play the position that they tell you to play, and you're just going to trust the coaches. So he got moved to running back. He was very relevant for fantasy purposes this past year, and now that Cam Scatabo is coming into the lineup, I'm sorry, it could prove to be a problem for Tracy. They're quarterback position got slightly better a couple weeks ago. They didn't have anybody signed to the team, and now they got Tommy DeVito, they got Jameis Winston, they got Russell Wilson, and now they drafted Jackson Dart. So we don't exactly know who's going to be day one starter yet. Most likely it will be Russell Wilson, and they might sit Jackson Dart maybe at the second or third string just to sit him for a year and then play him next year. And then Cam Scatterbo, we don't know if he's going to be running back 1 or 2. Malik Neighbors is going to be wide receiver 1. I would absolutely be looking for him because whether it's Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston throwing to him, he is going to be the first option no matter who is throwing the rock.
That wide receiver room is scary, though, besides Neighbors. Take him out.
Okay. Darius
Slayton
is not a bad wide receiver in my opinion.
He's not great either.
He's a good wide receiver too.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
Wan'Dale's okay.
Zach Pascal. Jalen Hyatt. Emir Smith Marseille.
I don't even know.
Bryce Ford Whedon. Antoine Wells Jr., Montreal Washington, Daquan Felton, Bo Collins, and Jordan Bly.
Yeah, that's rough.
Dude, that's so bad on paper.
Okay, Malik is the one.
Yeah.
If he goes down, that's a problem.
Because he's there, you're like, all right, I feel better.
Yeah, because he's there, you feel better. But if he wasn't
there,
that's a rough wide receiver. That's rough. So
good luck to the Giants.
I would be looking for Malik and maybe Cam Scatterbo as a flex just to be on the safe side.
I don't know.
And outside of that,
no one else.
That's the end of the Giants roster.
Yeah. I mean, you might have to plug in their quarterback on a bye week, so maybe Russell every once in a while. But
Russ as a
consistent starter, no,
absolutely not. I would not
stay away. This is one of the teams you stay away from, like the Falcons, the Saints. This is another one.
Yeah,
the Browns.
I agree. We got the Cowboys next. This one is probably going to be the one we're going to talk about the most, simply because we are both Cowboy fans. Big news out of Dallas a couple days ago. The Dallas Cowboys traded for George Pickens, wide receiver out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He will not be signing an extension with them quite yet. He said that he wants to prove that he can be a wide receiver 1, and whether he re-signs with Dallas or he re-signs with signs with another team, he wants wide receiver 1 money. So he's looking for that 30, 35, 37, 32, $40 million, whatever it is. He wants to prove that he can be a 1, and he wants to prove that he can get wide receiver 1 money. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he will end up, if he does resign with the Cowboys, he's definitely not getting $30 million a year. He's probably getting closer to like 22, 20, 18, somewhere in that range. If he does sign with another team, if they are desperate enough for a wide receiver 1, then I could see them signing him to a contract like that. But I don't necessarily see George Pickens as a 1 in the league. I've never really viewed George Pickens as a 1 in the league. They took 9 draft picks this year. They had Tyler Booker, which was their guard out of Alabama, Jadon Blue, running back out of Texas, and Phil Maffa, running back out of Clemson. So their running back room is a little scary. They got Javonte Williams, who they signed from the Broncos. They got Miles Sanders, who they signed from the Panthers, Jadon Blue from Texas, and Phil Maffa from Clemson.
And they still have Deuce Vaughn, too, but he's not going to play.
There's no real running back 1 there, though. I mean, Javonte is probably going to be the 1 start of the year. I can see Jadon Blue getting that 2 spot, but I don't really see like a monster number 1 running back in Dallas. And that's the problem that they had last year, is they didn't have a true 1 until they started properly utilizing what's his name?
Who?
The one that went to Carolina.
Oh, Dowdle,
Rico Dowdle.
My boy Reek.
Yeah, he put up 1,000 yards last year. Yeah. So for them to not re-sign him and just utilize him the way they were at the end of the season.
That's what Dallas does, though.
That was their mistake. I mean, they had Zeke for a lot of years.
Yeah, but they let Pollard walk, too.
Yeah, they let Pollard walk.
What I mean?
And so he's been producing with the Titans.
It's almost like they're like, after Zeke, they're like, we're not going to commit to a running back like that anymore.
Yeah, I think they want like a true 1, but they're not looking for one.
So I know we're trying to be quick here, but I do want to say this about the Cowboys. Everybody gets upset about Jerry Jones not making moves. He made a move with the Pickens trade here, and it's one thing that they realized it themselves that they needed help at the wide receiver position. So instead of using any draft picks, they go out and get Pickens. And Pickens and CD have that very same mentality where they need the ball all the time. And when they don't get it, then you can see that they are visibly frustrated and upset. which I get it, but that's not always the best look. And to have two of those guys on the same team, that is kind of a red flag. However, if they can somehow protect Dak and Dak can throw the ball to either one of these two, but the other thing is too, Dak loves his tight ends, so that's going to also cut into their target share. But the Cowboys are also going to run the ball a lot. That's like they have to.
If Dak can stay healthy, this team makes the playoffs.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
But their line is very young now. I mean, they added two pieces to it
They
in
revamped
this draft.
it completely.
But it's a very young line. So for a young line, it's easier to run block than pass block. So you're going to see Dallas still rely heavily on the run game. And like I said, Dak loves him a good tight end. So that's all going to cut into their target share. But Pickens is in a contract year, so if he really, really wants to get a good contract, then he has to kind of buckle down and bet on himself and have a good season.
Well, that's what he's doing, is he's betting on himself, because he could easily sign an extension right now at Dallas for probably, I would say he could sign like an easy $16 million a year. Like, he could get that right now.
I don't think Dallas would do that.
If he signed this year, he could lock in $16 million a year as a wide receiver 2. But like I said, he's not shooting for wide receiver 2 money. He's shooting for wide receiver 1 money. So he wants that big contract. He wants the payday. I don't know if it's a good bet, because one wrong move, one injury that puts him out for 6, 10, 12 games. I mean, you're putting your entire contract in jeopardy, and you can even get less money next year than what the Cowboys could potentially offer you this year to lock you down for a couple years. So I think that's the wrong move. I think he should sign that wide receiver 2 money, because knowing Jerry Jones, he'd probably pay him 20, not 16. And especially how young he is too. I mean, if you want to lock down...
He's 24.
He's 24. If you want to lock down 4 years, like, you lock down a 4-year, $18 million contract, like, you're set. You don't need anything else. But the mentality of these guys is they want the $40 million a year. They want to be the number one paid. And I don't blame him for having that competitive mentality. But at the same token, if you can lock down $20 million a year at 24 years old, why not? That's the way I see it. So I'm looking for Dak. I'm looking for CeeDee Lamb. I would be looking for Pickens as a 2. I think he's better than a flex. I think he is.
Yeah, he's
wide
way
receiver
better
2.
than a flex for sure.
Yeah, he's better than a flex. And I would stay away from the running game for now. If they can prove that they are something on the ground in the first 4 weeks, then take their running back.
Actually, Dallas is usually good for like a productive tight end too.
Yes.
So,
Jake Ferguson,
yeah,
absolutely look for him. And if he goes down, we saw Luke Schoonmaker be productive last year too.
Yeah, so whoever is going to start at tight end should be worth a spot on any league roster, because they do get production there.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Commanders, who surprised the league last year with making the NFC Championship game.
Huge turnaround.
Yeah, with a rookie Jaden Daniels. They had 5 picks this year. One of them went to an offensive tackle, Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon. They took Jalen Lane, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech, and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, running back out of Arizona. So again, no big names in the draft outside of their tackle that they took at the end of the first round. They did add Deebo Samuel in the offseason to complement the passing game and the running game. In the passing game, they have Terry McLaurin, they have Deebo Samuel, they have Luke McCaffrey, and they probably got someone else that I'm missing. And then their running game, they have Brian Robinson, they have Austin Eckler, and now they have Deebo, who can act as a running back at any given moment. And then you add this guy, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, running back out of Arizona. I'm not going to lie, I don't know this name.
Michael Gallup is on this team.
That's right.
That's crazy.
He actually didn't play last year or the last 2 years because he wanted to take some time off, like for himself.
KJ Osborne.
And now he's coming back into the league.
Noah Brown, another former Cowboy too.
Noah Brown, that's right. Yeah.
Interesting how that works.
Yeah, so this team, Jaden Daniels is probably going to be the number one option in fantasy, especially after what he did last year. He put up, I think, 1,000 yards or almost 1,000 yards on the ground. I think he got 900. I don't think he put up 1,000. And then obviously he made the NFC Championship game, so they were productive. Brian Robinson got hurt, so Austin Eckler was relevant for a little bit of time. But Brian Robinson, when he's healthy,
he's solid.
Yeah, he's solid. He could be a top 15, top 10 running back at any given
week. Yeah, because
he
catches the ball out of the backfield too.
Right, yeah. And he's also really good when it comes to goal line work. So
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz is also going to be a name that you can look for as a low end tight end. So if you're not the type of person to draft the top 3, top 4, top 5 tight ends in the league, you can take Zach Ertz, and he's going to give you production. He's not going to give you high-end production, but he's going to keep your team relevant, and he's going to get you that 8, 10, 12 points that you're looking for from your tight end.
Yeah, he's not going to win you a matchup, but he's not going to lose it for you either.
Yeah, and even
Tyler Biadasz, also another former Cowboy on this team. They have a lot of former Cowboys here.
Wow, I did not know that. Interesting. That rounds out the Commanders. Look for Jaden Daniels.
Who's next? The Eagles.
We actually forgot about Terry McLaurin on that team too.
Oh well, no, nobody forgets about him. Scary Terry. We all know about him. Well, yeah, because I saw Noah Brown and Michael Gallup. I'm not looking at a Cowboy depth chart.
Not even looking at Terry McLaurin.
No, it was just funny, Like I'm like, whoa, Michael Gallup. Wow, had a lot of potential there for a while.
We got the Eagles, who were Super Bowl champions, and they still had 10 draft picks.
The
this year,
Schmeagles,
which was insane. They took only one skill position on offense, which was a quarterback in Kyle McCord out of Syracuse, which is surprising to take only one skill position and it be a backup quarterback, considering your quarterback is Jalen Hurts. And he doesn't really have a history of being injured except for last year when he went out with a concussion for, I think, the last 2 games of the season. And I think they ended up losing those 2 games. So, I mean, it was crucial to the team that he was out. And then they took 2 tackles in the 6th round, Miles Hinton and Cameron Williams. And the rest of their picks went to defense because they did lose a lot of defensive components last year. They did re-sign Zach Bond. They have young corners, and then they also lost Milton Williams to the Patriots, and I believe they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson as well. And I think there's another name that I'm missing. I can't think of it off the top of my head, though. But their defense is very young. They took a lot of draft picks this year. They already had young players from last year. So the Eagles are going to be looking to potentially repeat, even with the loss of a lot of their key components that did win them that Super Bowl. They still have their badass offensive line. They still got Saquon, who's going to be probably the first running back taken off most draft boards this year in fantasy. It's
probably going to be the first overall, honestly.
Probably, yeah, most likely.
You're not going to. What quarterback are you going to take over him? Or I mean, you could take Justin Jefferson,
running back.
No, but what I'm saying overall,
I
like just overall, like number one.
Jamar. I mean, he did win the Triple Crown last year.
Yeah, but
he had the most receiving.
But everybody's gonna have everybody's gonna have the recent performances from Saquon in the playoffs, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, take him number one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
mean, AJ Dillon backing him up. By the way,
I would not blame anyone for taking Saquon number 1 overall, but if he's not taking 1 overall, it's probably going to be Jamar. It might be CD. It might be Justin Jefferson.
CD does not go first. No way. There's no way.
If you have a
diehard
Cowboy fan taking number 1 overall, if your dad had the number 1 overall pick, you're telling me that he's not going to take CD?
I wouldn't. I mean, if he did, then he just helped everyone else out right there. That's you're reaching right there.
I'm just saying, like, it could happen.
AJ Brown, Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith, the only notable wide receivers on this team.
Yeah, so AJ Brown is going to be a high-end wide receiver once again. Devonta Smith, both of these guys have finished as wide receiver 1s as a duo, but now that you have the introduction of Saquon to this team, last year we saw that Devonta Smith took a step back in production simply because Saquon had such a great season. So if Saquon goes down with an injury, which we have seen multiple times throughout his career, and it is very possible, especially now him being, I don't know if he's going to turn 30 or if he just turned 29, but he is on the cusp of 30, so injuries are more high risk. He's going to be a high risk player just because of his age and because of the production that he gets on the ground. So you can still draft AJ Brown, you can still draft Devonta Smith, and you should absolutely draft Saquon and Jalen Hurts. Their tight end Dallas Goedert is also going to be a high end tight end. So all of this offense is what you want for fantasy purposes. All of these guys are going to produce.
Last thing, same situation here. If Jalen Hurts if he was to go down, holy quarterback room.
Well, they don't even have Kenny Pickett anymore.
No, I know. That's why. It's like their quarterback room is really, really thin. Well, Tanner McKee,
and
Kyle McCord, then Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Jesus Christ.
And we saw how he played in Cleveland. So very alarming if Jalen Hurts goes down. But moving on, let's get to the last division here before we wrap this up. The NFC North.
The NFC North.
I want to start with the Bears.
Let's start it off with the Bears. They had 8 picks in this draft, and they had one of the shockers, too, in the first round, taking Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan, at number 10 overall. And he was actually the number 2 tight end on basically everybody's big board, I guess except for the Bears, because they took him at 10 and they took him over Tyler Warren. They also took Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Missouri, in the second round, and they took Kyle Monangai, running back out of Rutgers. So if they want running back depth pieces, I mean, they took the right guy because DeAndre Swift is most likely going to be the one. They still have, I believe, Roshan Johnson, who is probably going to be the 2. He did get a lot of the touchdown work last year, which is what took a lot of production away from DeAndre Swift. But DeAndre Swift was in between the 20s. So DeAndre Swift can still have the potential to be a running back 1 simply because they bolstered up that offensive line and they're going to have more run block and pass block. So I don't think he finishes, but he absolutely has the potential to finish as an RB1. Their passing attack got really crowded really quick. So they got rid of Keenan Allen, and everybody was excited for Rome Odunze year 2. But then you add Luther Burden, and now you add Colston Loveland on top of already having DJ Moore, on top of having Cole Kmet. So that wide receiver room, I mean, including the tight ends, is very crowded right now. I don't know who you would want. I mean, Colston Loveland could be the safety blanket. He could be the touchdown merchant. DJ Moore or Luther Burden could be the guy to catch screens and take it to the house. Rome Odunze could be the slot wide receiver and he could get the slants. Like, all of these guys they all have the potential to be a 1. It's just a matter of who's going to get the most production. So I would be excited to draft anybody from the Bears offense, but I would be cautious as to who you draft and where you draft them, because where you draft them is going to determine a lot this season. If you draft DJ Moore in the second round and he ends up being the wide receiver 42 on the year, you got really bad production you got really bad value out of him. But if you draft Luther Burden in the 10th round and he ends up being the wide receiver 12 on the year, then you got great value out of him. And I think both of those outcomes are very possible. What do you think on the Bears?
Dude, Caleb Williams is the ultimate factor there.
Yeah,
if he struggles, this whole team struggles. And
right,
that's it.
Absolutely. They got so many passing weapons, but is Caleb Williams the guy to get them the ball and get over 4,000 yards, which we have never seen out of a Bears quarterback?
Notable shout out to the roster too. Deion Hankins, running back from UTEP, on the actual squad.
Really?
I don't know if he's going to make the final squad, but he is listed on the depth chart. He's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, shout out UTEP alumni right there. Shout out. Rooting for him for sure. Obviously, he has a long shot to make the roster, but it's nice to see some UTEP guys out there in the league.
Right. So the number 1 player I'd be looking for the Bears, who's the number, like
DJ Moore?
DJ Moore is the number 1
for sure. Uh-huh.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
that's fair. I don't
because you don't know what Colston Loveland's going to be, and then DeAndre Swift is not like a high. He was way more productive in Detroit before he ended. I think
he was more productive in Philly.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, but like, he was just more productive in both of those places than he's been with the
I
Chicago.
think both of those places had better lines than the Bears. But now that the Bears actually have a good line, here he is, part 3.
Do they have
with
a good line? We don't know yet.
I think they have a good line now.
On paper, they do. But we'll see.
Right.
You never know how this works out. And like I said, they go as far as Caleb Williams goes. That's it. Bottom line.
That's a very, very valid statement. Let's move on to the Packers.
The Cheeseheads.
Cheeseheads.
Love me some cheese.
They had 8 picks. What's your favorite kind of cheese?
Munster.
I like that. Okay.
Munster's good, yeah. Cheddar.
My favorite's provolone.
Provolone's good. I'm a big cheese guy, man.
Do you like white or yellow cheeses? If
both.
you could only choose one.
I'm going white.
White? Okay, that's good. I like you.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. I really needed that reassurance in my life. All right. What about the Packers? Matthew Golden, wide receiver.
So this is the first time that they had taken a skill position in the first round since like 2002
Isn't that what Aaron Rodgers was always mad about?
Yeah, because they never had a top end wide receiver. I mean, they had Devontae Adams, but he wasn't even a first rounder. So now they took Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, at pick 23. And they also took Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. So that's also another team that has a lot of just role players. You don't really have a one there. You have Matthew Golden and Savion Williams now. And then you also have Jaden Reed. You had Romeo Dobbs. You had Christian Watson. You had Tucker Kraft.
Devontae Wicks.
Dontavion Wicks. You just have so many pass catchers on that team. It's the same thing as the Packers. Like Jordan Love, we've seen to be relevant, and we've seen him get to the playoffs and seen him get the ball 3,000, 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. But it's a matter of who is going to be the one on this team. Is it going to be his tight end Tucker Kraft? Is it going to be the new round one pick Matthew Golden? Is it going to be one of the vets that they have in Christian Watson or Dontavion Wicks? Is it going to be Jaden Reed, who they had last year that was really good? It's just a matter of who gets the ball the most. The person I would be excited for on the Packers the most is going to be Josh Jacobs. He was a top-end running back last year, and I expect the exact same production out of him unless there's an injury. It's the same with all of these guys. When they're healthy, all of these guys have the potential to be a top 5, top 10. But when injuries happen, obviously you can't finish inside the top 5.
They're really thin at both running back and quarterback, though. Malik Willis and Sean Clifford are your
Malik
backups.
Willis actually won them a game last year, so I mean,
but I mean, if something was to happen to Love, like a season long injury,
right,
you're in trouble there. Especially too with Josh Jacobs because they have Marshawn Lloyd, Emmanuel Wilson, and Chris Brooks.
Yeah, Emmanuel Wilson was actually getting a lot of work last year when he.
I noticed something funny in this tight end depth chart, and I mean, you're probably going to get mad at me, but they all have very funny names. So
they do,
and it's like a name association. Luke Musgrave, Casey Musgrave's younger cousin, right? Okay, and then we have Ben Simmons' shorter brother.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And then John Fitzpatrick, Ryan Fitzpatrick's
and then we got Tucker
little
Kraft,
cousin.
Kraft mac and cheese.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Those are solid names right there.
Dude, Kraft mac and cheese on the cheeseheads?
Yep.
That's valid.
That's like, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah, it was a match made in
you
heaven.
Know what I mean?
So who would you be most excited for on the Packers?
I mean, just grab any of these wide receivers because you can have so many wide receivers on your team and you can play them as flex. You can just rotate them in on bye weeks. So grab any of the wide receivers if you can in the later rounds. The one I would stay away from would probably be Christian Watson because it seems like the new guys are going to be taking over his role.
That and he's always injured every single year.
Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, or Jaden Reed would all be solid picks in the later rounds. So focus on them. And then Josh Jacobs towards the beginning of the once they do the run on running backs, make sure you try to grab him because he will be valuable.
He's going to go at the end of the first or the beginning of the second.
Yeah, so look out for him.
Latest at the end of the second. And if you can grab him in the second, that's a value pick right there. Let's move on to the second to last team. We got the Vikings, who had 5 picks. They took an offensive guard, Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State, Ty Felton, wide receiver out of Maryland, and Gavin Bartholomew, tight end out of Pittsburgh. So the commentators are going to have a field day if Bartholomew takes it 60 yards to the house, and they're going to go, Bartholomew to the crib.
Bro, I didn't know we were making Bartholomew still.
Dude, Bartholomew is hilarious.
I didn't know people we were still doing that. Like, you know what I mean? That's crazy.
That is crazy. So the Vikings
sounds about white.
Oh, Jesus.
I have to get one of those in every episode. I think I have so far.
I think you have.
Without forcing it either.
Ever since like episode 7, I think.
Yeah, without forcing it.
So you're on like a 6-episode streak.
Let's keep it rolling. I don't want to hear a word about JJ McCarthy. We already know how you feel.
Okay, well,
shout out Aaron George.
All I'm going to say is JJ McCarthy, if you believe in him, take him because he's in a very good offense. You have Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason.
Wow, that's a good tandem right there.
You have
Ty Chandler.
No, he's not going to get any production.
No, I know, but I mean,
now
like
as
a
there.
third, I mean, that's not bad.
I mean, you have Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and then you have Jordan Addison at your wide receiver 2, who
kind of falls off after there, though.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's no depth after
Jalen
that.
Naylor
was Tim drafted Jones, by the
Ty
Eagles,
Felton,
I believe.
Rondell Moore. Lucky Jackson, Thayer Thomas, Silas Bolden, Jashawn Jones, Dante Fleming, and Robert Lewis, Miles Price.
Jesus Christ, they got a lot of wide
receivers. But I mean, because they're like they're looking around, they're like, besides Addison and Jefferson,
like who's our three?
If anything happens to these guys, we need to know if one of these guys can play.
Right. So I think all of these three teams, it's funny because I kind of view all three of them in the same position. They have very talented rosters, offensive and defensive. But like Chris said, these teams are only going to go as far as the quarterbacks take them. So the Bears, they have a lot of offensive weapons, but if Caleb Williams doesn't produce, none of these guys do. Yep. Same thing with the Packers. They got a lot of offensive weapons. If Jordan Love doesn't produce or stay healthy, this team doesn't go anywhere. Same thing with the Vikings. They're basically coming into this year with a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy because he tore his meniscus last year.
And if he doesn't play, it's Sam Howell.
And if he doesn't produce, it's Sam Howell, and you're probably not going to get anything out of anyone outside of maybe Justin Jefferson.
TJ Hawkinson, he'll be solid.
TJ Hawkinson is probably going to be a safety blanket for JJ McCarthy if he gets in situations where he panics or if he's scared. Obviously,
which will probably be a lot.
He's probably going to be a lot. Considering
he's probably
the fact
scared
that
right now.
Probably. He's like, holy Jesus Christ, I'm the starter.
He looks at everyone's depth chart and like, damn it, I'm number one again.
He's like, fuck, I have to be the one.
He's like, but it's Sam Howell, guys. It's Sam Howell. You know
probably, what I mean? So...
That's funny.
Yeah, I think
looking at the depth chart and getting scared to see your name.
I think all three of these teams can be very, very, very good. But if the quarterbacks do not produce, these teams can be very, very.
Did you ever have like basketball tryouts like when you were a kid, and then you run to the board to see if you made the team?
Nah.
In this case, JJ's like, fuck. God, he's like, damn it, number one.
Sam Howell too. He's like, fuck, if this dude goes down, I'm one.
Yeah. He's like, they're like in practice, they're like fucking around, and then they're like, we didn't make the team. There's no way. And then you go and you're the first name there. Fuck.
Shit.
I didn't even want to play this year.
I didn't even mean to make the team.
Exactly. That's how he feels right now.
So the Vikings bolstered up their line. No, I wouldn't say bolstered up. They added a offensive guard in Donovan Jackson after losing. I think they lost somebody, and then they also got Will Fries from the Colts.
Great name.
Yeah, beautiful. I think it's pronounced Freeze, but I say Fries.
No, it's spelled like fries, so I'm saying Fries.
Yeah, I'm saying Fries too.
If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. that's as easy as it gets right there. Christ. Will Fries. Where do you think his favorite French fries from? I'm going McDonald's.
I feel like he's a Wendy's guy because they're thicker.
Yeah.
And he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big guy, huh?
Yeah, so he needs like thick cut fries. You know what he needs is like the potato wedges from Albertsons.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are real mushy too.
Yeah, he's probably like
he's just fucking. He like eats them like fucking goldfish. Just tosses them in his mouth.
He throws them up
like that, like a spear, like a potato spear, just in the mouth. That's hilarious.
Oh my God!
I think I'm good on the Vikings. After that, we can wrap this up with the Lions.
Let's move on to the Lions. Last team to talk about. They had 7
potato
picks.
Spear.
They got Isaac. They got Isaac Tesla, wide receiver out of Arkansas. Dominic Lovett, wide receiver out of Georgia, and they also took 2 guards in the draft. So this team was very disappointing in the playoffs last year. They lost to the Washington Commanders in was it the first round or the second round? Oh, it was the second round because they got the bye, right?
Yeah. Very disappointing organization in general.
Oh no, they didn't get the bye, did they?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. No, the Eagles got the bye, didn't they?
Well, the Eagles were the number 1 seed, weren't they?
Yeah, so they got the bye.
Okay.
So the Lions lost in the first round. Shit, I don't even. Yeah, they came off. I think it was a 14-3 season, and they lost in the first round. And everybody was like, "Oh, they should have been the 1 seed, and it's okay. They're gonna make the Super Bowl." And they were Super Bowl favorites. Even going into last year, they were Super Bowl favorites because of what they had done the year prior. So they're going to be
in the divisional round to the Redskins.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So who did they beat in the first round?
No, the divisional round.
Yeah, that's the second round.
Or I guess they got the bye then. They're 15-2.
Yeah. Okay. So then I guess they did get the bye.
They did get the bye.
So the
15-2.
So who did the Eagles play in the wild card game? Oh, the Rams. Huh? That's right.
Yes, sir.
Damn.
Looking at it right now, 28-22 against the Rams, and then the Lions lost 45-31, which was a blowout.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even that close.
It wasn't.
It just got close towards the end of the game.
The problem with the Lions is that they had so many injuries on defense. Their offense was fine I guess up until the playoffs, because they didn't even really produce on offense. And to be shut down by a defense like the Washington Commanders, who don't even really have star-studded players on the defensive side of the ball, it really goes to show that Dan Quinn really turned that team around culturally and just talent-wise. And he said, I don't give a shit who we got on the roster. We're going to come in and beat these guys because nobody expects us to. And that's exactly what happened. And they almost damn near made the Super Bowl year one with a brand new head coach and a brand new quarterback. So it was a Cinderella run at the time. We're calling it a Cinderella run because we don't have multiple years of this team. So technically it was a Cinderella run because they weren't even projected to make the playoffs. And now coming into this year, they're probably Super Bowl favorites. And it's from one year to the next, your whole entire franchise is completely turned around. So for the Lions, I'm still looking for Jared Goff. I'm still looking for Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta. Tim Patrick was relevant towards the end of the year, and he was just kind of getting like touchdowns.
That's kind of just like a handcuff, though. Just like add him to the roster late round.
Because if Amon-Ra or if J-Mo goes down, then he's the second or the first guy.
He's got value.
Right. So all of these guys have value. Who's their second tight end on their depth chart?
Brock Wright.
Okay, yeah. Brock Wright was actually taken, I think, last year's draft or 2 years ago. So if Sam Laporta goes down, also that guy can be a handcuff. And who's their backup QB?
Dude, that's what I was going to say. Very scary situation if anything was to happen to Jared Goff. You got Hendon Hooker.
Oh, Hendon Hooker.
And Kyle Allen.
Yikes.
I think that's
rough.
That's kind of
scary.
alarming right there.
Yeah.
So you better just hope Jared Goff stays healthy. They better be able to protect him, because if not,
they better.
If he gets like any sort of rib injury or something like that, because he does take hits, then their season can go south really fast.
Right, absolutely.
Especially if like one of their running backs gets hurt. Like if Gibbs or Montgomery was to go out, like,
you know what? I think if Gibbs gets hurt, it's more like alarming than if Montgomery.
Well, it's going to be
hurt.
A bigger impact.
Right.
But
That's
even their running backs that are on the depth chart, I don't recognize a single one of these guys actually. Craig Reynolds, Sion Vaki, and then they got two more, Kai Robino and Anthony Tyus III.
Nope, don't know.
There's two other versions of him out there.
Yeah, that's rough. Well, that wraps up our NFC outlook post draft. Give us a real quick. Who's your favorite team from the NFC this year that isn't highly regarded?
That's kind of tough. I mean, I would say probably like
I'm gonna go with the Falcons.
From the NFC. No.
I'm going with the Falcons as like my sleeper to make the playoffs.
The Falcons aren't gonna be good, I don't think.
I think as like a sleeper. Like who's your flyer to where like if they have everything goes right.
I still think the Commanders do really well, but that's not a sleeper. I don't know, dude. I'm not high on anybody really besides the teams that were there last year.
I think it's fair to go with like the Commanders though, because we don't know how it's gonna turn out in year two.
I mean, I could say the Cowboys because obviously they had a bad year last year. Right. So I mean,
I think if Dak stays healthy, he could have a top 5 QB season.
Dak is always very productive fantasy-wise.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It's just his health.
And now with the addition of George Pickens, I mean, you have George Pickens and you have CeeDee Lamb, who you're throwing to 17 games. If you can stay healthy, this is a potential playoff team. If Jaden Daniels has a sophomore slump maybe, or if the Eagles aren't as productive as they were last year, they can easily slip into the first or the second seeding in that division.
Kevontae Turpin probably will get a lot more work this year too.
Yeah, I think so.
And other than that, they have Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, and
Tolbert got some work.
That's about it. Jonathan Mingo is actually on this team. Forget about him, but I don't see him doing much. Turpin would probably have the most upside, and then out of the running backs, I would say Jaden Blue also has some upside there too. But that would probably be the team that I'm looking for. Even though I'm a Cowboy fan already, it's like they have the most upside considering where they were last year.
Right. All right. Well, that just about does it for episode 13. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are not subscribed already, make sure you hit that button down below. It's going to be red and it will turn white if you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, the thumbs up or the thumbs down if you didn't really like it, but don't do that. Leave a comment, leave some suggestions that you want to see. We're going to be getting more stuff in the background soon. If you guys have any suggestions, throw them out there. It doesn't hurt to throw out a suggestion. Share. Make sure you share to your grandma, your mom, your pops, your brother. brother, your sister, anyone you want to share it to, your history teacher, share it to him because maybe he likes. Because Chris Chris gives history lessons on New England.
Yeah, so. We give history lessons periodically here. Lessons. That was the Zen talking. Sorry,
but make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. All of the above.
Fight us in the comments too, by the way.
Yeah, fight us in the comments. We'll be dropping shorts on this episode like always. And we are out.
Peace.